of the freedom of speech,
The other side of the non-disclosure agreements, the agreements.
How you doing, sir? Have a nice day. Like that was the craziest part. Like that was like white privilege 101. So if I'm a black man, I'm watching this, I am sort of pointing out the racism in the way he was treated. The fact that he was acquitted, the fact that he was able to kind of walk past the police the way that he did, all that is true. But to say that whole incident was a racially driven incident is just not true. There was nothing about it. I mean, a lot of people, you'd have thought that Kyle Rittenhouse shot 2 or 3 black people, the way some black folks were reacting. He didn't kill any black people, so that was white on white crime. That's what it was. I think that there are deeper concerns that we have. I bet you, probably a couple of dozen black children got shot in Chicago this week. Why don't we go protest about that? Why don't we go fix that? The Kyle Rittenhouse trial didn't have a lot to do with our day-to-day lives or the status of our community. And I think it's important for people to know that.
Very, very important opinion on that. Definitely, I couldn't agree more. When you look at the situation, it almost seems like the media is playing and tugging on black people's emotions. And they know that hearing the not guilty and putting him up there as the face of white supremacy is going to trigger something in us to almost keep us distracted from what's really going on. And then you look at the unfortunate situation that we had with young Dolph a couple of days ago, and you bring up Black Lives Matter. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, but I haven't seen Black Lives Matter since Biden's been in office. I don't remember. They seem like they've disappeared. Like I haven't seen them. Why aren't they out there to let's get this youth together and let's see what we can do at the ground root to change some of this hopelessness and helplessness and feeling like we don't have any self-worth to where we got to go out here and kill somebody that looks just like us that may be a little better off financially for satisfaction. Talk about that, how the media kind of plays a role in tugging on the black emotion. And do you see that happening right now?
Well, let me just say this. You spoke of young Dolph. If young Dolph had been shot by a cop, they'd been protesting like every single day. There'd be thousands of protesters out there. So we have to really pay very close attention to how we react when something happens and it's among our own versus when something happens and it involves like a white police officer or whatever. Now, in terms of digging deeper into that, Black Lives Matter, we know that organization, that was a special purpose group. It's almost like in football, how you have special teams where it's not offense, it's not defense, it's special teams. They come out for special situations, right? Mm-hmm. The punter and the kickoff team and all that. Well, the Black Lives Matter organization was a special team where they said, look, we got to get Trump out of office. We know that black people are easily triggered because we've been traumatized so much. And if we can trigger the sensitivities of black people, get them to associate racism with Republican parties and ignore everything the Democratic Party is doing, right? Ignore Democratic Party racism, but all the racists are over there. They over there, y'all. They over there. Then they knew that energy would be enough to get them into office, and it worked like a charm. Because a lot of us still don't understand the nature of structural racism. The Democrats and the Republicans, they all hate your black ass. All the people that will have you protesting at a Black Lives Matter rally, none of those people are protesting when a black baby shot in the streets of Chicago. Ain't none of those people protesting when a black man can't get a job or is locked up in prison for 100 years and can't go see his family. Ain't none of those people protesting when our black kids are going to school every day and even learn how to read because the schools are being run by people who don't care about them. Ain't nobody protesting when black business owners can't get their business off the ground because they can't get access to the trillions of dollars in capital that white people can get. So really, what is it for? What is it? It's entertainment. It is black trauma is very profitable for people. There are people that know that we have a hair trigger reaction because a lot of times when you don't know who you are, you get easily misled. You get dragged around into every little conflict, every little situation, as opposed to simply saying, okay, what really matters for us? What are we really trying to do? And I decided, and I think a lot of people have, is that as a black man, my goal is to be free. It is to take care of my family. It is to make sure that me and my people are living the best and safest life that we possibly can. And that to me is a line in the sand that I draw when I decide what I want to get involved with. What messes are worth my time? What is it really worth me putting my energy into or my time into or my money into and all this other stuff? So I would say that, when you talk about what happened this week, man, you've had a lot that happened. First, you had the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. You had the murder of young Dolph, which, remember, you put into context, 200 rappers have been killed this year. 200 rappers have been killed. And black people have been dying from the toxic poison of hip hop culture for a while. Not all hip hop culture, right? We know hip hop is a beautiful, powerful art form. Words have power. Well, now words have never had more power than they have right now, because now you got drill hop, where I can rap about you dying and you're literally dead next week. And it ain't just Chicago no more. It's all over. It can happen in Houston. It can happen in Memphis. It happens in New York. It can happen in LA, right? So now words have more power than anything. So the question becomes to me, what's really going on, and why, if we're doing all this yelling, screaming, hollering, Black Lives Matter, screaming, getting mad about stuff, why is there no progress being made? Why is it that, I can go tell people, I can go call up MSNBC right now and say, 40 Black children were murdered in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, and they'll hang up on me. They don't even care. But if I say, if I give them one agenda item, a Kyle Rittenhouse type thing, or some black man shot by a cop, the symbolism gets their attention, but the substance gets no attention at all. So I would encourage intelligent people that really want to move the needle, pay attention to the substance. Ignore the symbolism. The symbolism ain't nothing but entertainment. It's all designed to use your trauma and your pain for somebody else's benefit, and we have to be really careful about that.
And powerful. Let's get into the young Dolph thing. There's a video or image that came out. I'm looking at. They said that new image shows a man shooting back at young Dolph's killer. So that's another thing. But how do we prevent this now? We had the stat of the 200 rappers, being killed, and then we were talking last week, and we were like, "Yo, I wonder who the next rapper is going to be that's going to die." And ironically, a few days later, young Dolph dies. What's the issue here? We'll break the issue down to the people. What's going on in hip hop? And go ahead, go for it.
Well, we know that back in the early 1990s, there was something that just sort of changed the weather in hip hop. There was something that just happened where suddenly the music just shifted in a very toxic, dangerous way, where you started putting death in the air. It became a death culture. I remember growing up, and there was nothing I would have wanted more than to be a successful hip hop artist and to roll with the guys that had all the money and all the women and all the fame and everything else. That seemed cool to me. And in hindsight, I look back at that and I say, man, being a rapper is dangerous. Like Ice-T just said, he said that being a rapper now is more dangerous than being a dope dealer. That is not an environment I want to be in. You did not win when you become a successful artist. You did not win. You may have gotten cursed. Now I'm not talking about J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm talking about. We know that there's levels to it. There's variations of this beautiful art form, and it's important that we understand that we can support that art form. And because we love it, we have to make sure that it remains true to its true purpose, true to what it's supposed to be. So unfortunately, you have a scenario where there's a lot of chaos, and typically chaos occurs when there's bad leadership. When there is no leadership, there's chaos. So when you go back to mass incarceration, when people like Joe Biden and Bill Clinton were building all these prisons, and they wanted to put all these black men in prison, and they were locking up all the OGs, locking up gang leaders on RICO charges and everything else, well, you had a leadership vacuum. And in any country, whenever there's a vacuum of leadership, you always have chaos. You have tribalism. You have people fighting and killing each other. So in communities all across this country, you got young people now that don't have the guidance and the wisdom of OGs that kind of say, let's settle this down. Let's have a sit down. Right. Like, again, I'm not an expert on the Memphis hip hop scene on any level. But one thing I know, when I think about Memphis hip hop and young artists, three of the most powerful artists out there are the ones I've observed: Yo Gotti, Black Youngster, and Young Dolph. I was stunned to find out that all of those guys seem like they don't like each other, and that there's this back and forth and this craziness going on. And I believe that a lot of it's driven by lack of leadership. Because I can tell you like this: if Louis Farrakhan was elevated as the leader in our community that he is, and respected in that way, I think Farrakhan could get all those guys to sit down and say, "Look, what are you doing? You're putting your city on the map. You got the babies looking up to you. You are representing this city. So we have to find a way to form some sort of coalition that's going to be beneficial to everybody. We can't have this this back and forth, right? And so effectively, that lack of leadership is what you're seeing in not just Memphis, but you see the same thing in Chicago. You see it in a lot of different cities. And remember, if you really look at the hip hop industry, for example, you don't have you have people that are really controlling the industry who care nothing about our community. They export the most toxic parts of our culture. Like, the more gangster you are, the more records you sell. You get to hold an Astro, or you can't hold an Astro World if you're not keeping it 100% gangster and being whatever it is that these people want you to be. And unfortunately, all that toxicity, all that negativity ends up falling back on us. And I think Astro World was interesting because that was one of the first times you actually started seeing white people getting killed from the music. And you see how the difference of the reaction is. You know, if Travis Scott had a concert in the hood and 10 people got killed, it would have been a news story for about 3 days. But because these were college students that were dying, and there were mostly white people, and then there was one little kid who was black. Now you got what, about $2 or $3 billion worth of lawsuits. They might try to take down all of Live Nation over this, right? So to me, I understand it. It makes sense to some extent, but I'm sitting there thinking, Black people been dying from this. Like, we've been seeing, you know, the chaos like for 20 something years. And so ultimately that's what it is. It's like making like some, it's like cooking some food in the kitchen that has a toxic waste product, and they're dumping all the waste in the Black community, and everybody else is enjoying it for everybody else's entertainment. But for our community, it becomes super real, because there's no way on this earth that it makes sense for a 36-year-old man who's a father, who's an entrepreneur, who loves his community, to literally get shot while he's going to get some goddamn cookies. That is not normal, man. They have flipped your whole reality upside down and made it into something that it was never intended to be.
God, you the man, Cass. I spit white like a clan mask, and I'm a hustler. I could stand out on the beach and sell sandbags. Some things can't last, but this ain't just a podcast. This is Sam Ant and Oh God Cast. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving, Sam Ant riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip hop uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving, Sam Ant riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive. Go gang.